A huge development in the Selena Not Afraid case. Nearly 5 years after she disappeared, a man has been charged in connection with her death. Hello and good Tuesday evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Martin. The Bighorn County attorney filed charges against a local man on December the 26th. Robert Alvin Morning Bromley is charged with 2 felony counts of criminal endangerment in Bighorn County. Court documents allege that Morning Bromley was driving Selena and one other person back to Hardin after a New Year's party in 2020. It is alleged that he left her at a rest stop along with one other woman because his car was having issues. He did not report the teen missing to law enforcement. Charging documents allege that Morning Bromley knew Selena and the other woman were heavily intoxicated at the time he left them there and that they were not adequately dressed for the weather. That other female was picked up by the suspect's mother a short time later, but Selena was nowhere to be found at the time. That incident prompted an intensive search for Not Afraid, only for her to be found about 1.5 miles away from the rest stop almost 3 weeks later. Her case sparked outrage and brought the epidemic of missing and murdered Indigenous people to the national stage. Diane Casanova spoke to family and friends of the victim who are overwhelmed with emotion in light of these recent charges.
But I want to hear the whole story. I want it to go to trial. I want to hear what they have to say.
With the news of felony charges being filed against the man who was driving Selena Not Afraid that day, Cheryl Horn says she and the girl's mom now have a degree of closure, but they know the fight's not over yet. She says while his actions may not have been malicious, she wants him to take accountability.
He admitted that he left them, We all know you don't have to leave them. You don't have to leave them. Drive around in circles in that parking lot if your car's going to stall and you can't drive it. That was his excuse, right? He couldn't let it die. That parking lot's pretty huge. We had big camp set up there. He could have drove in circles and circles till they got in.
Terrell Alden, one of Selena's closest friends, says the man's reasoning for leaving the girls behind doesn't sit right with him.
To this day, it still bothers me really bad. I mean, she was only 16 years old. It's the best part of a person's life. I was out there for 20 days, just constantly looking for her, and I don't wish that upon anyone.
Even so, he says getting word of charges being filed against one of the people who was with her that day brings him a great deal of comfort, which Cheryl echoed.
Any charge is something for the family to say, hey, they are worth something and an injustice was done.
Bighorn County Attorney Jeannie Torski tells us that despite the amount of time that had passed in this case, she knew it was important to see things through.
Growing up in Bighorn County, I've seen classmates go missing. I've heard friends and family talk about the missing, and I don't want them to be forgotten. And despite all of the challenges these cases present, my office needs to move forward and try our best to achieve justice and provide the friends and family with closure.
Cheryl says she's grateful for the county attorney's actions and that she hopes other law enforcement officials take inspiration from her to pursue cases against others that aren't necessarily clear-cut, but are worth fighting for.
I've always said that, once we start prosecuting people are going to get a little more leery of, if we leave them behind, we're going to be in trouble. We need to go back to the world where the law mattered.
Both she and Terrell say that they will continue to keep Selena's memory alive every day.
We're still fighting for you, I miss you. I really miss you a lot. And every time as the snow falls, it just reminds me about everything that happened, and we're still fighting for you. I'm not going to give up.
Just tell her I love her so much. I just love Sal. I would tell her that now she can rest, because I promised her I wouldn't stop until somebody was held accountable.
Terrell also says that despite the tragedy, he's ready to make peace with what happened and to move on.
I've come to this realization that having so much anger in my heart, especially towards them, is not going to bring my friend back. You know, and I just want them to know that I forgive them. You know, it's because she would have too, just because that's the kind of person she was.
Diane, thank you very much. The Bighorn County attorney says that one of the factors that made a big difference in this case is the fact that Selena's disappearance was actually reported rather quickly, and there was information available about who she was last seen with. And she encourages other families to take this proactive approach of keeping track of their people. Torski says family members should keep an updated list of who their kids and loved ones tend to spend time with, their contact information, and even the kinds of cars that those friends use. She also says that it's ideal to have updated photos of your loved ones, particularly in a casual setting. She says people are more likely to recognize a missing person through those types of images as opposed to a staged image like a school photo.